Hey, so now presuming, let's say that in this existential factor, right? This other existence that is, factored in for being here. And then the one that seems to be aware and tuned in with that and the rest of reality and more interested in trying to take advantage of that and paint it in this way or that way or cause his behavior to be this way or that way. Like, why would anybody essentially look for that? No, I'm saying why. Why would you guys be drawn to such a perspective? You know, basically, let's just play the real game. If I'm here being possessed from inside, which is basically being put words in their mouth, being caused to think a certain way about certain things rather than living their life. And on the other side, the oppression side, which is constantly attack physically, which is basically this thing that pulls my attention away from tuned into my body and then puts me in a roller coaster ride of mental thought plane and response and reactivity and manipulation. Because think about it, if it's not only possessed my impulses, but then also factor in the influence of words and then the influence of emotion and the turmoil that can be caused in, let's just say, attacking my function, for instance, right? Say like I start right now going like this. Today I can do it, but tomorrow, I can only go like that. I can't go and then the next day it's like, I can't even pick it up. And so little by little my function goes like that. Right now, okay, now today I'm gonna go to this one, and today they go to this one, right? And then all of a sudden, tomorrow I try it, and then the next day, so now today I'm like, what do I do today? And then I blink, and then, all right, forget. What do I do after that? I forget. Now what do I do after that? Now forget. What do I do after that? That's now forget. And then, little just like that, look, my function. That's what it's convincing me of, right? That's what it's trying to show me now. Can I go anywhere? Should I still be talking? Should I be doing anything? Okay, so that's the internal game that they play. And essentially, that's how they attack you, right? And then you start saying shit like this. I can't move my hands today because yesterday I went like this and then like that and then like this. I no move like this no more. And then and then oh no! Wait! I was about to move my leg. I cannot move my leg. Sorry, you had to see that. Oh no! And the whole time, the whole day, this is a fear factor. I don't want to become this person. I don't want to be this person. This is the behavior I don't want to and embody and put out into the world or put for the people to see. But inside of myself, this is the fear essentially. Get out of here right now. So, and with that being said, that's the life that I'm living right now. That's the behavior, that's my mentality, that's my attack in the spirit. So what made me and triggered me to make this video was them not telling me that part, but instead telling me to give words to this idea. These are the words that would show you what they were telling me. They were saying, oh yeah, why does it feel like every day you're compressing, 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 and compressing? And what happens when things compress, 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 and compress? And just look at your surface thought. What are you guys thinking right now as I said that? Did everybody's mind go to explosive, reactive, implosive, over emotional, so overactive, you know, and so that was the mental mindset and mind perspective, right? That came to mind. So that's why I got triggered to saying all that other stuff. But all I was gonna say was simply that I noticed that my functionings have been triggered to become, instead of my function being thought of good, it's been this thing that's manipulating me from inside, carrying this perspective and perceptions that made it feel like it was just compressing, y'all. Like I'm taking away from myself every day, doing less, feeling less, thinking less, acting less, making less videos, eating less, drinking less, smoking less, like all these things that should be less, you know. I mean, but there's so much to juggle, and I don't even think their intention was that. They just saw me run away with the thought and pattern and shit that I was saying, and just encouraged it by letting it happen. So I don't even know exactly what I just said, but or even what I'm talking about anymore, But essentially, I know that the topic of this video was function being attacked. So if that's another form of my function being attacked, then I mean, think about where I'm at right now in this perspective as to what they're waiting, what I can perceive, and how they like to feed off of that. Ooh, get afraid, feel afraid, because inside it's somebody else carrying this. Just let them feel afraid, and then have them talk about it and see what it does. And this is what it does. It talks about the function of input. When the possessing spirit enters and the measurement of an observer, knowing and having reached out to you through every mechanical means to make sure that you acknowledge that there is somebody there who's there with you. So once that observer let me know of his presence, now this possessing factor, becomes our observed thing, and if it's just human nature to understand that it's just a function, my mind's already attacked. It's already had enough brain damage, in all these spiritual attacks that literally I'm like a super smart person who is very, very, very stupid. It's probably more me than I care to admit, So, and that's essentially like, it's almost like me dying spiritually, dying to myself, and I'm going through this spiritual death. And then whatever is going to take over me is just going to be all that's left. And it's almost like they know peace is the only thing that's ahead. So they want me carrying that weight, that perception, that perspective, shouldering some notion of some self-belief or inward belief or inward notion or something dramatic for the people or whatever cause. I mean, essentially, it's confusion. Don't you see the erraticness and the impulsiveness and the scattermindedness? When I already know myself to be aligned when I'm aligned, and the whole time here, like I have other ways of measuring myself versus the one that I'm letting perform. So, and that's the variations, in my existence. But knowing this part, brain damaged, emotionally hurt, with already all these experiences accumulated, and me just being compressed with it, put into a closed space where I can't breathe, or I see all the weight that I'm shouldering, whether, again, it's like saying I want to go feed 1,000,000,000 people or cure homelessness or cure of feeding the world, or I want to feed America or house every human being in the world, grand goals like that masked with, what were you guys about to say? Some like small weak perception, which was like, I mean, I don't know how you baited me to that, but you baited me to that with something else that was more of a, like a, well, basically it's just like ideas. Like I said, scatter-minded, It's like how do they activate the energy in your brain to go amplify and then, micro dense, macro dense, micro dense. I don't know how you guys look at all these perspectives of what you guys would address, but essentially in me, I mean, there is something attacking my brain. So I have brain damage, and that's what the forgetfulness is. It's an instant brain damage attack. So if there's like microwaves, the rays, the guys should talk about rays. That's funny, huh? But so and then remember, it's a gangster narrative here, just pushing for this because they see how I've kept the peace with my reality But the gangsters have found themselves disturbed by the piece that everybody's displaying. They wondered and factored in how it is we can track it down. And essentially, the whole perception here is that I should land at thinking that maybe I had something to do with it. I mean, I have no idea, but since I'm obsessed with you guys, because I'm possessed with whatever it is that inserts beliefs in that manner, and I've also been oppressed, which means there's things that also follow and observe me that cue themselves in positions where they can be utilized as a weapon in my spiritual battle, in my physical battle, in my existential battle, and thus not seen as like, oh, as if everybody doesn't already see where I'm at, how bad things can seem, but essentially how good everything actually is. But hey, I thought I'd share that with you. Hopefully that shit was insightful. Thanks for your time.